Welcome back to That Game Place Live, everybody. How's your weekend going? It's Labor Day weekend, so it's going to be a holiday weekend for a lot of you, which means you guys can slack off and play a lot of games. And I hope you're playing a lot of old games, because usually you don't have to spend as much for them these days. But it's going to be a good weekend, everybody. We got a lot of gaming news to cover here. That's right. So in a lot of the news, we have word that the Mortal Kombat movie has been delayed. We're going to have to wait till a whole next year in order to play the game. PlayStation 6 rumors are running rampant once again, and this time it seems like there's a lot of validity going to them. And Nintendo has once again found themselves in controversy, but for once, it's not by a bunch of people on the internet. It's actually an established facility for preservation. It's going to be a fun one tonight, everybody, but I cannot do it alone. I need the coolest co-host on the planet. This man, if I could grow a beard like him, I feel like I would ascend into the heavens by the amount of knowledge he has. It is the one, the only, Culture Casino.
Hey, thanks for having me. I do appreciate it. We do have a lot of news out there. I thought that, why is it we're always talking about Nintendo and controversy? I just want to know, because it seems like those two things go hand in hand, and we'll be talking about that today on That Game Place. But we are not a complete staff. I'm sure you'll agree, Nolan. We have another panelist that is, a large part, and I do mean large part of our
He's the girth.
Here. The girth. Let him in.
All right, the one, the only, Kevin Apollo.
There you go.
Girthy.
Okay.
All right. Come on. Get it off strong.
That's right. We did start.
That's what's going to be. It's going to be a good day, gentlemen. I have a good feeling about this. And we got some awesome people here in the chat already showing up. We got the awesome, amazing mod girl herself, Juliet, always a amazing person of the chat. We appreciate your modding powers. You have all the abilities, my home girl. We also have Extreme Meme showing up here in the comments. Quite a legend.
I keep clicking the wrong thing. Don't let me click things. I'm not clicking any more things. I'm clicking the wrong thing.
This is strange. Usually they tell me to not push the buttons.
I'm not pushing any
because things usually
buttons.
explode.
Done with the buttons. More buttons.
Good to see Extreme Meme. We also have Argentum, coming in again. Love Argentum. Always so good to see you. We got some good folks out there. We got Jay. How we doing, Jay? Simple name but sweet. I love it. Of course, we got Kevin, but he's on the panel. Kaiju Thunder. We got some fun here. So, everybody, do you think it's time we go ahead and get right into the news, or do you have any stories you'd like to share? Kevin, did you have any crazy adventures with the mailman, or do you think we need to start the news?
Oh, boy.
No mailman. Right now, I think we've adopted a kitten, but without adopting a kitten, it's feral. She sleeps outside.
Forget the video games. Tell me about the cat.
My wife got her a little cat house that warms up. They have been laughing because it's a cat house. And I dusted off my little mini Super Nintendo re-release, so I'm gonna play it tomorrow when I set up my new TV.
Nice. So, do you have like the Super Nintendo Classic Edition?
Yeah, there you go, the Classic Edition. I was debating on having one of my friends, unlock it so I could play Batman, the animated series game.
Oh my gosh, that'd be cool. Like, mod it up. I have good memories of that thing because, one, it was cool because it's the first time I ever owned a copy of Earthbound, if you want to count it. Second, me and a friend of mine, we did a night where we did like a gaming night with each other. We did 2-player multiplayer of Super Mario World, and I think I proceeded to beat the game in like 10 to 20 minutes. So,
nice.
It was a very short exchange, but it was a good time, and I think I left him in awe. Oh my goodness. Culture, did you ever play the Super Nintendo Classic Edition?
Yeah, I have one.
You have one? Ooh. Okay. All right.
I've played a lot of the little mini game, like multi-game loaded, like console replica weirdness. So, yeah.
Do you remember do you guys remember when the first Classic Edition went up and they were like going for like $1,000 to $2,000 and all the rich kids were buying them up? Like,
yeah, for like 35 cents of plastic and like $12 of electronics. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And I mean, we all know there are certain sites where it's very easy to get access to these games that are old as dirt. Heck, I probably could remake these games for cheaper than that. But you know what? Let's go ahead and get into the news here because, you know, I'm probably going to go on a rant about eBay, and I don't want to do that today. So instead, let's get to our first story. Kevin, are you ready for this thing?
I'm ready. Are you ready? That's the question.
I'm ready for Freddy.
Born ready. All right, so let's go ahead and get into our first story right now. I said right now. Okay, cool.
I don't see it.
You know why? Because you see it now.
Okay.
There we go.
There it is.
Right. Okay, cool. All right, everybody, let's get into this. And I am so hyped for this story because I want to start things out big because, oh my gosh, 25 years ago, the makers of Tony Hawk changed the superhero game. And I need to take a minute before we get into any crazy stories to talk about this game. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this game right here literally changed the face of superhero games. I'm, of course, talking about Neversoft's Spider-Man game from the year 2000.
Wow.
A great franchise comes with great responsibilities. Talk to any folks associated with icons like Star Wars, The Avengers, or Grand Theft Auto, and they'll give lip service to the importance of legacy. When you're up against the imagination of millions of fans, you got your work cut out for you. And 25 years ago, one of the most iconic superheroes of all time got a game so good, it set a new bar for comic book IP before Hollywood's Marvel Revolution. When Neversoft released Spider-Man on the original PlayStation August 30th, 2000, the superhero video game landscape was bleak. Does anyone else remember Superman 64? Licensed games were churned out as quick cash-ins with clunky controls, uninspired level design, and a general sense that superheroes couldn't have a distinct feel in the media, where plumbers and hedgehogs could be heroes, too. But Neversoft, fresh off the runaway success of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, had the pedigree, the technology, and the creative freedom to change that perception. Their Spider-Man wasn't just good as a superhero game for its time. It set the stage for everything that followed, laying the groundwork for the future Spider-Man titles and influencing how the entire superhero genre would be approached in gaming. All right, so I got to ask both of you gentlemen here. Have you ever played this game? Culture, did you ever get experience with this game back on the PS1 back in the day?
Is Culture muted?
Yeah, I think you're muted, good sir.
My system muted me, not me. Anyway, no, I have zero experience with this. This looks like one that I normally would have been in my wheelhouse. It doesn't even look familiar, which is weird. That's odd, but 25 years ago sounds like fun. I had the original Tony Hawk game, just not this one, apparently.
This is Kevin, what about you? I know you live and breathe comic books. I mean, if you didn't play this game in the 90s, I think you'd be considered lame. So I know you're not lame. So tell me about this game, Kevin.
This is the one that ends with the Octo Carnage fight, right?
What? Yep, Monster Ock, which was nightmare fuel for those who have ever played it. Basically what happens is after like a blast that happens, Carnage's symbiote falls onto Doc Ock after they team up, and it becomes the most horrible abomination in an E for Everyone game ever. It was go ahead, Kevin.
This game was amazing. I would say the Octo Carnage fight was unnecessarily difficult, but it gave you a sense of like actual accomplishment once you survived it. I love this game. This is one of the This is one of the few games where I went back. Like, I need 100% on this game. I'm so mad that I lost my copy of this game. I don't know where it went to. But yeah, I've always been upset that I didn't have this game anymore. Love this game.
I got this game after the fact, and I love how you worded it. It's like, you don't beat him, you survive. Like, that's not even a fight. You're just running away from him as their headquarters explodes to the bottom of the sea. Like, I don't know. I think it's mild trauma, and could you imagine if they ever did a movie version of Monster Ock, complete with Doc Ock's tentacles and that grotesque face? Like, I think they'd have to be the first ever theatrical film, they would have to ban adults from seeing as well as kids, because I don't think that should be legal. It's too intense, my homies. But Culture, I know you didn't really get a chance out on this one back then, but I think part of the cool thing that a lot of people remember about this game was it actually had a special cheat code you could put in the game, and it had something called what if mode. And this is something a lot of people have vouched for they would like to see gaming industry as a whole adapt, is you get to play the game again, but it would actually like modify the game and its story. So every level has something special. Like you say, there's this level where you're in an undersea fortress and you have to get to the end of the layer and fight like laser robots or whatever. Well, outside in the window where you see under the sea in what if mode, there's a yellow submarine that shows up and it decides to race you. And then you get to do like a racing mode against said yellow submarine. You find Black Cat in the fortress and she's getting groovy and dancing all of a sudden. Or the top of the headquarters is replaced with Banana. It's a lot of really creative ideas. And I'm kind of surprised it eluded you, but I'll tell you, if you ever get a chance to do it, I think you'd enjoy it.
Yeah, probably. It sounds great. I mean, I'm all for that weird stuff. Plus, I would love to race the Beatles in a yellow submarine.
And you know what? You might actually get a chance to do it one time in the future, because this is a little bit of an older article, but you never know where the news goes. Spider-Man developer absolutely wants to make a remaster. This comes from the good folks at GameBite, from Richard Brenslin. It's, like I said, it's a little bit older, but, if Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still not out to this day, there is a chance we can see this before we take a sweet dirt nap. A Spider-Man 2000 developer says he's absolutely up for working on a modern-day remaster for the beloved classic. Developed by the now-defunct Neversoft, and long before Insomniac's Marvel Spider-Man 2018, Spider-Man 2000 was considered to be the pinnacle of web slinging. Perhaps there are still plenty of fans that believe that is the case. It was released for the original PlayStation, N64, and various other platforms such as the Sega Dreamcast. However, in an interview with Gaming Bible, the lead designer of Spider-Man, Chad Findlay, detailed that while the game had its fair share of technical limitations due to its era, getting work with the legendary Stan Lee was a career highlight. I got to include most of the characters we wanted. We got to add our what if mode for tons of other cameos. And I got to voice direct Stan Lee, said Finley. However, given that Finley seemed to have cherished his time working on the Spider-Man game, Gaming Bible's Ewan Moore took the opportunity to ask if a remaster could be on the cards. While I would initially be reticent because of the nightmarish licensing and approval process that are around these days, I absolutely would do it, exclaimed Finley. I love Spider-Man. It was such a great nerdy character with stories that always have positive messages and themes while also still being exciting and fun. Stuff we need these days. So I gotta say, never say never, I guess it's in their name, Neversoft. But, right now we've seen where a lot of these AAA games have such astronomically huge budgets. It's such a huge gamble to see if you're going to get high risk, high reward in this industry. Kevin, do you think there's any chance we might see a remaster one day? And if so, will you give it a chance?
I hope so. I'd buy it in a heartbeat. Sometimes you just need good old fashioned fun. And I fondly remember this game. So there wasn't a single board that I didn't love. All the cameos. It was super cool. It was a super cool game. So do it.
Well said. Do it. Culture, would you give this game a shot if we get a remaster?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very intrigued, and I'm surprised I missed it. Yeah, of course I would give it a try. Like you said, back then I was always looking for something that was a little bit different. This is very much different, and sounds like with the what if mode, I'd be pretty stoked to play it. So there's that.
I really think you enjoy it. I unfortunately have a little bit of nostalgia goggles on it because I got to play it on my PS2 back in the day, and I got to be used to kind of playing some more jank controls compared to what we have now. But with the standards we're seeing of some of these games right now, how they're borderline unplayable, I don't know, maybe this game will get second life. But you know what? If a remaster does happen, we'll definitely be sure to cover it here on That Game Plays. All right, Culture, I think we got some wonderful people in the chat. Would you like to bring them up on screen to see what the good people have to say? Well, you're muted, my friend. Muted. We need to hear the beautiful people and you.
Man, I don't know what's going on. I know that we had Jake Cho join us. Can you discuss why Roblox stock has been stable despite recent negative attention. I would suggest, and this is by no means an expert opinion at this point, but my guess is that institutional investors and people that have a hand in the maintenance of this game and keeping it afloat are, well, basically keeping it afloat. And I think it's also odd, as you mentioned, that, there hasn't been sufficient coverage of this yet. So I think it's incumbent upon us in the sphere and for people out there with YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, Minds, Getter platforms to, or even Kick, right, to go out there and expose, all of the dirty dealings that has been going on within Roblox. So I can't explain why it hasn't had sufficient coverage other than, again, it's not in the, in the evil's best interests. So we'll see. But I wouldn't hold on to that for too long. I think eventually there'll be something. What do you guys have any thoughts or no?
I said, well, let's see what happens when Chris Hansen gets done with them.
Yeah. Hey, sit down, have a seat.
Because that documentary is coming like a freight train.
Yeah, I think it's gonna hit. I think it's gonna hit pretty hard too. Or what do the kids call it now? Oh, that's gonna slap.
I thought slap was a good thing.
I don't know. I don't speak kid.
Anyway, all right, everybody. Next show, we're gonna have Culture do the intro for him and be like, "What's up, fellow kids? We're having a radical day, my homies."
Yeah. Be prepared for a slapping good time.
I've been informed that the kids don't say that anymore. Apparently, it's 6-7. It's going to 6-7. What? Right? Am I saying that right? Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna turn it up to 11. So, anyway, Captain Fandom Nerd is out there. Good to see you. We got a few more folks that rolled through the door, like Carl Singh, and that House of Apollo guy seems to be everywhere. Yeah. And let's see, anybody else? Oh yeah, Blue Sky Sharky, or Blue Sharky, not Blue Sky, Blue Sharky. What I missed? Not a lot. Apparently, Chris Hansen references. That's what you missed. Hey, Chris Dickerson's here. That's not the same Chris though. And then who else? Well, Argentum's out there. I am not going to give up my 90s lingo. I don't care what's in style. Let the kids call me old. Hey,
Groovy.
What's going on, fellow kids? What's
Y'all
happening?
don't know how much I wish now that we had a Duke Nukem story today so I could use every dated 90s lingo in the book.
That would be great. That would be great. All right. So, look, I just want to say thanks for those of you in the audience. And our wonderful, what do you call them? Mods, the people with the wrench magic. So thank you for that. So, yeah.
Slap people with that wrench. Make a statement.
All right. Let's you got to have a story.
I do have a story. It's story time, everybody. Gather round, fellow kids. We got a story.
Wait.
Oh, wait.
Hey,
I guess Kevin hates stories. Oh, looks like it might have been a tech issue.
His device. He needs to reset his camera in the background. And
yes.
And
while Kevin's getting that fixed, I'll bring up a comment here by Carl Singe.
Yeah.
I found an article this week regarding a potential sequel to a video game based on the comic book series that never saw the light of day, Ultimate Spider-Man. Hope you cover it. Well, thank you, Carl. I have not found that article, but I will definitely look into it after our show here. And I'm so glad you brought that up. Welcome back, Kevin. And I'm so glad you brought it up because I played that game to pieces back in the day. Like, I remember, like, you could play as, like, Venom and, like, eat children. It was a really different time, people. It was a different time. You could murder people with your tentacles. Like, it was... They don't make them like that no more, people. And also, Spider-Man was voiced by the guy who voiced Mac on Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. That game was weird, people, but it was a good game. Also, we have a super chat from the legendary Chris Dickerson, who says, Culture, do you want to do the honors of quoting the famous Bruce Campbell?
Hail to the king, baby.
Oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite things about the old Spider-Man games was like you got to hear Bruce Campbell do like he'd yell at you. You remember that, Kevin? How he'd make fun of you for playing the game bad?
How many muggers you got to beat up? Play the rest of the game already.
I like the one where he's like, all right, now you know how to jump, so why don't you go jump off a building? I'm like, dang, man. And you could proceed to do that, and then he'd yell at you for following his advice. It was crazy. So crazy. But Chris, we always appreciate your support, man. Love the R2 icon. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat here. It will go to good arcade cabinets and not games like Superman 64, I promise you. We also have Davina Duckworth in the chat. Do the kids invent any cool slang? Rizzer, that's a term now. We like Rizzer, don't we, Kevin?
Wasn't that a member of the Wu-Tang?
Yeah.
I
got crazy Riz.
I wish I had as much Riz as Culture Casino. But you know what I do have?
Mad Riz, yo.
A story.
Mad Riz, yo. Yeah.
All right, everybody. We got yet another PlayStation 6. All right. Sorry. We definitely have Infinite Riz here because there's a new PlayStation 6 rumor, everybody, and they are really ramping up this week. I feel like we might be on the verge of an official statement at this point, for better or for worse. Nintendo bias coming out right now. But the article is coming from the good folks at IGN by Wesley Yin Poole. So thank you, Wesley. The title states, PlayStation 6 headline rumors are ramping up this time with claims it's dockable. We're nearly 5 years into the current console life cycle, and the PlayStation 5 still has no games. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That's not what I said. We're nearly 5 years to the current console life cycle for Microsoft and Sony, that is. And so it's perhaps inevitable that the credible rumors around what both companies have up their sleeves in terms of hardware are ramping up. This latest rumor, which deals with the alleged PlayStation 6 handheld console, includes some interesting detail that, if it has a basis in reality, could suggest the Nintendo Switch 2 has a competitor on its hands. I think I'd call that the Steam Deck personally, but continuing. Moore's Law is Dead said in a recent video that this so far unannounced PlayStation 6 handheld will be dockable and backwards compatible with PS4 and PS5 games. The YouTube channel even has information on alleged specs for the device, which apparently include 16 CU RDNA5, iGPU clocked at 1.20 GHz in handheld mode, and 1.65 GHz in docked mode. You tell that to the person at McDonald's, baby. According to Moore's Law is Dead, the PS6 handheld will cost significantly less than the upcoming Xbox Ally X Age. Way better and will be raw performance stronger. The ROG Xbox Ally and Xbox Ally X released on October 16, but Microsoft has yet to announce the price. There's also a brief mention of what is described as the PS6S. Try saying that 5 times fast. Which sounds like it could be the PS6 what the Xbox Series X is to the Series X. If this is true, you expect the less powerful console to be cheaper. Moore's Law information is, it claims, based on up-to-date AMD documentation it has reviewed, still a huge number of questions remain. And let's remember, Sony has yet to announce firm details on its future consoles. And what will this PS6 handheld cost? Moore's Law is Dead estimates $299 to $399 for the PS6S, $399 to $499 for the PS6 handheld, and $549 to $699, yeah, $700 people, for the base PS6. If this comes to pass, the PS6 handheld would easily price match the Nintendo Switch 2. Moore's Law is Dead suggests a fall 2027 release window for all these devices. Culture, do you think this is real? Or do you think this is, and as a great philosopher once claimed some things would be, bologna sausage? Or do you think there's some truth to this?
I think this is mostly bologna sausage, peppered with some wishful thinking, and then salted with, there's maybe grains of truth here. But I just introduce your own flavor palette to that. But I'll just tell you, PS6 is on the way. It would be very early if we got it as they suggest, and if it came in all those flavors at all those price points, it would unseat handhelds across the board. It really would, because it's going to be more powerful, and obviously you can get it different flavors. And to me, I think you'll be playing it on the TV more than you will in a handheld form. But I think it's doable. They'd be taking a loss on it, probably. I think you're muted.
Nolan's turn.
Oh no, all good. Kevin, do you want to chime in a bit? What do you think of this? Do you think this is going to be the super techno Optimus Prime system, or do you think this is once again a far off fairy tale?
Gosh, I think this might be. There's a little too much here that says it's a little too much to be true. I think there's some elements of truth there. I am curious about the handheld part, but like Culture said, I just don't really see. I don't really see PlayStation people not wanting to play their game on TV. And then will we actually get games for it this time? Because you're asking me to drop exactly. You wanted me to drop $700 on some hardware, but hardware is so powerful now. Like, what are you really getting out of it other than a little bit of faster processing time and a smidgen more vibrant color? So I'm like,
Bro, you got to factor in inflation. Paperweights don't come cheap these days, man.
Well, and that's the problem with the PS5. See, we've had this conversation at least twice, the three of us, in like the last 6 weeks. It's because
there's PS5, still no games.
There's no games. Hey, the new Madden's out. Okay, it's out on everything. Oh, hey, this college football game's out. It's also out on everything. It's just like, where did the PlayStation exclusives go? Where's Naughty Dog? Oh wait, I forgot.
Oh, yeah.
But where are all these great developers that used to develop exclusively for Sony? Don't know, but they certainly aren't making PS5 games. And that's the other thing, right? The only heavyweight entering the room is going to be the new GTA 6. That's it. That's the only heavyweight that'll be entering the room. And
let's be real here. We know it's going to be on Xbox and PC too.
Exactly. Yeah. And then within a year, it'll be on PC and everybody will be playing it. And you'll be like, why did I spend $11 billion on this weird looking thing that doesn't fit in a cabinet, PS5? By the way, they don't ventilate for poop in a cabinet, so don't even try it. But it's just bad. Yeah, it's just bad.
If I can chime in here a little bit, I think that base model, if this rumor is true, like that possible $700 system, how much you want to bet they're going to price out the people who want physical media? They're going to give the streaming exclusive one the cheapest price point to where they're like, well, the sales don't justify the disk drive market, when in reality you priced it out deliberately because you didn't want to produce the games anymore. Am I wrong on that, Kevin?
No, I think you're spot on. I just think that people are at a place now where I think we're very close to seeing a physical media resurgence. People do not want to have to be worried about not owning their games anymore. Especially with with Nintendo's missteps, it kind of woke a lot of people up. So I think people will just choose to not buy anything. If I can't get physical media, I'm just not going to buy. I'll wait for PC. And I'm not
games
even a
are a
guy.
luxury. If you try to eat a copy of Last of Us, you're not in for a good day. I'm going to be real here, but go on, Kevin.
No, I was saying and I think they're setting the stage to start pushing people further away from the big three. I don't have a Steam Deck, but the more we talk about it, the more I find myself wanting one. And then I'm even contemplating, well, maybe I should learn how to play a game on a PC finally. Because
isn't it funny how some of the best advertising you can see for systems or competitors is when the core group and these companies, they make their most loyal fans sad? Because I'm going to get into this at one point with Nintendo, but the Steam Deck has never looked better to me. I think it looks awesome, and I've never wanted to, take the jump on a purchase because honestly, the economy isn't too great right now. I have money that tends to go to a lot of other things, such as funding my own YouTube videos, but I gotta say, with all these missteps, I feel like if I'm getting a Steam Deck, I feel like I'm getting quality that much more closely matches, like the GameCube experience I had like 20 something years ago, as opposed to all the consoles currently on the market, which feels like they're more just there to be a big advertisement for a streaming service or a season pass, whatever have you. I'd like to take a minute to actually bring up some words from our friend here, Davina Ducksworth. Those specs just don't sound right. They're comparing the PS6 handheld to existing Windows handhelds like the Asus ROG Ally. Now,
the Republic of Gamers,
I'm not
the
a
new
tech
Ally.
guy, but I'm sure you can weigh in here.
Yeah, no, again, that's why I said, you could, season this however you want with your favorite seasonings, but I don't think there's a whole lot of there, as far as truth. And I think, Davina's spot on. The tech sounds hodgepodge together, and exactly like the ROG handheld that the Ally that was just announced. Well, it might have been over a year now, but I think people have their hands on them. So I'm just looking at a lot of the a lot of that, and or listening to you describe these units, and I'm like, there might be some truth to it, but I just don't. I don't put any faith in it. Like you said, it's more bologna sausage than it is anything else. And look, I mean, I'm the guy that went full, like, nose down to the ground looking for everything for the Switch 2. And largely the stuff that I found and some of the things that Nolan found were the things that actually ended up being the Switch 2, especially with the new card sizes and everything else. So it's not like I haven't sleuthed my face off, in pursuit of something. I can go look for this. I just don't think I'm going to find anything. I don't think I'm going to find any blanks. I don't think I'm going to find any PCBs. I don't think I'm going to find a new custom power supply that they're going to have to put into this thing. Do you realize how much power the description that they gave us would require? I mean, the weight of it would be interesting. That's for sure. There's a lot of problems here. Let's just say it that way. How about that?
Yeah, no, I have to agree. I'm not even going to pretend to be an expert, but it seems like things are going in a very interesting direction for Sony, and it seems like Xbox is already going off a cliff. A friend of the channel, Lauren Connor, makes a very good point about how cross-platform is very soon going to become the norm, and I agree with that. Like, when was the last time, outside of Stellar Blade, because that very recently just hit PC here, that there was a tried and true Sony exclusive that was like, breaking the bank, like bringing in all the dough? Because, like, I know Astrobot, I think, was one, but correct me if I'm wrong here, gentlemen. Wasn't Astrobot like a packing game or something like that? I never had the 5, so I could be wrong on that. But it's like, it seems like it's just a needle in a haystack, or a hay in a needle stack at this point, with how painful some of these prices are. But I don't know, maybe I'm being too harsh to Sony. Kevin, I'm going to give you the last word here before we wrap this up. Do you think we're being unfair and maybe a little too biased, or do you think there's some reason for real concern here?
No, there's reason for real concern here. Again, we've talked about a lot of times, these gaming companies and even the game makers, there's been a really big lack of accountability that's led to some really big epic failures over this last console cycle. So people need to be a little extra judicious about how they're going to spend their money. And I don't know. $700 is a big investment. I don't care what you're throwing out there, and they haven't done much to really court my desire to want to invest in something like that. And then hopefully I'm all for this this cross console gaming. I remember the back in the day when your Nintendo and your Sega systems would get different. The games were the same but also slightly different, because each system had a slightly different set of demands. Like if you play like Aladdin, for instance, everybody got the Aladdin game, but you got 2 different Aladdin games. So I would actually kind of hope to see something more like that. Like, hey, everybody gets to play, but we're going to cater it towards the individual systems now. I know that's a pipe dream; they'll never ever do it, because everybody works off the same engine, and we've all gotten really super duper lazy about it. But
laziness.
I think you got to do a lot more to get people excited and willing to drop this kind of money. I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. Like, I kind of miss the days, where, you had like some console exclusive differences. It really made a difference on what system you bought. Like when I got my PS2 for the first time, I remember one of the biggest things to me was I got Star Wars Battlefront on it. Cause like my lowly GameCube, as much as I love it as the most Chad beast on the planet, it couldn't play Star Wars Battlefront. And then when I played it, it was like going into an all new world. And I feel like that's something that's been lost in a lot of our new systems is, well, since the tech, is kind of capped until we get to the days of like holograms, or if VR really goes full Ready Player One, so to speak, it's not going to wow for a while. So we really should be, in my opinion, living in a golden age of like quality stuff, because we're at a bit of a cap right now. Whereas I feel like everybody just wants to be the next, GTA 5, the next Fortnite. They want to be something that's really going to push the envelope on a new trend. And they're wasting so many resources in things that probably don't matter when they could be focusing on something really good. I know I've had this discussion about this on Lauren Apollo the other night, where we talked about the state of the AAA industry, and it's just not been in a great direction. I really do believe that it's a really good time for indies to thrive. And you know what? I think they're going to become a lot more relevant in the news. And if it does happen like that, well, we'll be sure to talk about it here on That Game Place. Culture, we have 1,000,004 comments, so we need to give these beautiful audience members some love and attention. We'll take a little time for this. Would you like to bring some of these wonderful people up on screen? You're muted, my friend. We can't hear your beautiful vocals.
Oh, I gotta stop doing that. Okay, let's try it again. So AMD, according to Davina Duckworth, doesn't need to make a special chip for Sony. The existing ones are already in handhelds, like the MSI Claw and the Lenovo. That's true. It's not a special chip, but it does operate at different performance levels depending on whether it's docked or not. And by the way, this is part of an offering suite. There's I've been doing research like a crazy person while Nolan was talking about it, that you still may end up with a console as well. So that's an interesting story. Nintendo will still make a killing with the Switch too, but they won't give much freedom to their customers. That's true. And this would be a way to deliver, a little bit more freedom for gamers. Extreme Meme brings up the Concorde used to be a Sony product and a Sony game company. They bought Firewalk Studios for around $700 million, supposedly, and then went on to make or spend, that much and more on a game that lasted 11 days. That's a whole other conversation. But, and this is the other problem. Davina's right. When you buy games like this, especially cloud games, you don't have any, sense of ownership. And that's the way that the neo-Marxists want it. Globalists want you to not own your stuff. Reject globalism and the globalists that come with it and their socialist authoritarian policies. You'll be much happier.
Do we have that on a shirt?
No, but that's a long shirt. You want to read that? I'd wear the shirt, but I mean, literally, who wants to read Wall of Text t-shirt? In fact, I may start that company, Wall of Text t-shirts. There you go. Just be like, yeah. Hey, read my dissertation on neo-Marxism by the following companies. Anyway, that'd be bad.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So now game companies have completely unrealistic sales expectations for AAA games and apparently for these consoles. There's no way you're going to be able to sell this handheld for $500. No way. And it's going to weigh 74,000 pounds. And that's fine. I mean, Kevin can lift it. The rest of it's not so much. All right, what else we got out there? Kevin, is that too many you're strong jokes? Or
no, we're good. We're good.
Okay, all right. Because I just, you're really strong. Anyway, Extreme Meme says, Blue Sharky 38, take time to focus on the game controls. In my opinion, that's what makes Fusion and Zero Mission so fantastic. Oh, they're talking about, I love this. We're talking about games on the game channel. This is good. Smart shirts.
I love Metroid.
Smart shirts. That's smart shirts. DM smart shirts. Smart. We got smart shirts. I like it. We can do that. We can talk about the world getting owned by the globalists. Anyway, that's the comments out there. Leading the way was Davina, weighing in on this game console. So there's that.
Also, want to take time to recognize good old Ciro Gunner in the chat. Carl singing. Yes, I love all the Clippies. You guys are making my night. If we get maybe my dream in life is maybe one day we'll just have a chat that's just
all
nothing
Clippies?
but Clippies.
All Clippies.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, if we get enough super chats tonight, maybe I'll start up that Clippy place. Like, give it time. The dream won't die, baby.
There you go. Anyway,
also want to say,
yeah.
Oh, good.
No, go.
Oh, I just want to say thank you to Pam. Says hello to the fine gentleman. Gentlemen. You don't hear gamer and gentleman always in the same sentence, but thank you, Pam. Like, we have a classy arcade here. We'll definitely be going up to your standards. And I really want to give a chance to say, big shout out to Lauren Connor, one of the hosts of Lauren and Apollo. Kevin, tell us about Lauren and Apollo real quick before we move on to the next story.
Ooh, Lauren and Apollo. It's the best late night show on YouTube. We'll talk about a bevy of things. It could be games, it could be lore, it could be pop culture news, whatever and anything that we want to hit, we will. And it's going to be fun.
It could also be about Lauren. Lauren and Apollo.
Oh, my
Lauren and
goodness.
Apollo. There you go.
My goodness.
Same
So
thing.
we'll be getting into some more comments here very shortly. But, you know, Kevin, I wanted to bounce off of something you said a little bit earlier here. Because you were talking about the differences between games, like console exclusives and stuff. Do you remember when Mortal Kombat did that?
Yeah.
And instead of the blood, we got sweat.
Yes. Yep. And he had
you know what, Kevin? I'm sweating right now. And the reason for that is because Mortal Kombat 2, the movie's been delayed. Wah, 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 wah. So yes, like a whole month before this movie was going to come out, they've announced that they're delaying it. And as Shigeru Miyamoto once said, a bad game is forever bad. A delayed game is eventually good. I don't know if I necessarily agree with Mr. Miyamoto, but you know what? That guy made Mario, and he's probably smarter than me. So you know what? I will listen to the kind Japanese man. But this story comes from us from IGN, from the good Michael Payton. So thank you, Michael. The headline states, Mortal Kombat 2 movie delayed. Will release next summer. Fans eagerly anticipating the second installment of the new Mortal Kombat movie franchise will have to wait a little longer. As reported by Deadline, the sequel starring Carl Urban and directed by Mortal Kombat filmmaker Simon McQuoid has officially been delayed until next summer. Mortal Kombat 2 will now debut in theaters May 15th, 2026 instead of October 24th, 2025. Deadline claims Warner Brothers and New Line Cinema believe the movie will perform better at the summer box office given the wild fan response to the trailer. Oh boy. Before we go on, I want to go ahead and ask you guys about what you think of this, because I remember when the first Mortal Kombat movie came out. I think it came out in the fall or spring, I believe. I cannot remember exactly the state of my life right now, so I could be wrong. But I just remember how we were at an empty theater, and I think it was later in the year, so the film did have less competition, so more people might go and see it. And it was also during the shutdown, so they were one of the big factors, as we've talked before on this channel, to making a sequel was how well it did on streaming when everyone was stuck at home. Kevin, I'm going to let you go first. Do you think this is a good move to put it up against, Toy Story 5?
Oof, not really. Listen, I spent a big chunk of my early career working in movie theaters, and I think that this modern strategy of crashing what should be big tent poles up against each other, it's detrimental. No one ever makes the amount of money that they should. The theaters suffer, and I think they're kind of super ignoring the trend of, these movies may have a fantastic opening weekend. By the time you get to weekend number 2, it's a dud. These movies need space to breathe, and the first Mortal Kombat was okay for what it was. It didn't really, didn't really blow anybody's skirt up. It was just okay. It was better than Mortal Kombat Annihilation. So, now this is the movie where you got to get it right. That means you need maximum exposure to the audience. So, fine. I don't know who's really jumping up and down for yet another Toy Story movie, especially when it's ended 10 times already. But I don't think this is a smart move. I don't get it.
No, I don't get it either. And, Kevin, I know for a fact that you're a comic book guy and you was a very avid reader of a lot of those stories. And there's one thing I feel like we can learn from comic books, is whenever they put something like the unstoppable force versus the immovable object, for example, heavy hitters up against each other. The reality is what usually happens is that, like, it either ends in they make peace with one another, the world explodes, or nothing happens. And do they not realize this? Like, you don't have to, you don't need to have yourself competing with Sonic, Mario, Avengers, whatever have you. You can just put out a movie at a good time of year, and it's just a feel-good time that people might be a little bored at a time of year, and they just want a fun experience to go to the movies. Culture, give me your two cents on this. Am I wrong here?
No, I mean, I'm kind of disappointed. I really wanted to see Carl Urban's Johnny Cage. But I guess I have to wait 7 more months. In fact, I recorded a video about this. It's probably going to drop in the next 3 or 4 days. But it's funny because theoretically, this film's done. It's cooked. It's already baked. The only thing they could be doing in the background is to, clean up some of the CGI, which they kind of needed to do some of that in the previous film. But the previous film at least had a lot of effects that I had not seen before, presented in a way that was very original. And I enjoyed the film despite its shortcomings. It didn't make a whole lot of money, and the fact that we got a sequel is an entirely different conversation. But I still feel like, if they wanted to appeal to the fan base, they'd release it as soon as possible. But there is a history of films getting stale when they've been shelved for a long time. And I can point to recent history with a video game adaptation, another one, that featured a lot of actors that were well beyond expiration date playing young characters, which was a bad plan. And, it is what it is. Borderlands was the failure it was always going to be. It just took them a lot longer to release it, and it cost them a lot more money. And yet they're going on to produce a game and another film, perhaps, of the same caliber, which doesn't bode well for the studio and, any producer that, asks the studio for money. There you go. Anyway.
Well, the trailer says in big bold text, prepare. I didn't know that meant you gotta wait longer, homies. Like, I gotta feel like a little disappointed. I mean, I wasn't hyped for this as much as I was for the Street Fighter movie, because I think all around, I think it's gonna be better. But apparently, to give them some chance to kind of understand their reasoning, it says that they believe the movie will perform better at the summer box office given the wide fan response to the trailer. And the key point I want to think there is the fan response. They think, it's been extremely positive for what they have going here. And I'll be real with you, while I think this looks like a solid movie, I don't think this looks like anywhere near as good as any of the recent Mortal Kombat games, in terms of presentation. With all the CGI animated movies out these days, I would have loved to seen an animated Mortal Kombat movie. I'm sure that would have a high rating. But, if we put Peacemaker out with an R rating, or Deadpool, I feel like, why not give Mortal Kombat a chance? Because everybody pretty much knows in the public zeitgeist that, it's bloody, it's sexy, it's a lot of things, and it has a generational appeal to it. I see the reason behind it, and I really think if they think that this is worthy of summer, I'm going to have bigger expectations on it now, because now you have the reality where, when you make people wait and wait and wait, they're going to start having unrealistic expectations. Say, the day, if we finally, for whatever reason, get Half-Life 3 and that game actually comes out, they're going to be disappointed people. Because unless that game literally puts the moon in a new rotation around the Earth or something like that, people are going to be disappointed. Kevin, I'm going to give you the final word here. Do you think they can benefit theoretically at all from this? Do you think there's something we're missing here to where they might actually be able to strike gold because maybe they're trying to make this film better or something? What's your thoughts on that?
Hey, listen, if they're willing to risk it because they have that much faith in the movie, then I say go for it. Fortune favors the bold. And this is going to be a pretty bold move, crashing up against a decades-long a storied franchise that is a proven moneymaker, even though its best days are behind it. So again, as much as I would prefer them letting the sequel have its own space and hopefully pull in more people, if they feel that strongly about it, then who am I? I go for it and hope for the best.
Hey, well said. Well said.
Hey,
Culture, do you have anything else you want to weigh on before we close and put a pin on this?
Sure. Half-Life 3, that game's going to slap.
Is that going to come out before or after Beyond Good and Evil 2? That's the big question there. Wow. It's been longer us waiting for that game that we have Duke Nukem Forever at this point. Like, that is pathetic. Come on, guys. Release your stuff, please, people. Okay, please. And you know what? If those games ever happen, we'll be sure to talk about it at that game place, even if it might be out of your dreams, because I don't know if I'll believe it when I see it at this point. All right. Culture, we got 1,000,005 comments, so would you like to get us up to speed with the good people, what the public has to say while I go ahead and grab our headline story?
You bet. Well, we have one of our favorite UK folks here, Pam Epson, saying, we have a new game in the UK. It's called Flag Wars. Yes, I've been watching them. It's been amazing. And so has that fella Asmongold. He's very keen on what's happening in your country and in Indonesia, since they're both on the brink, if not actually, in civil war. So congratulations. Yeah, the Resistance versus Darftstammer. No, how about Herr Stahnermer? Yeah, he's definitely a globalist. If you didn't notice, anybody who goes to those WEF meetings, you should be prepared to remove from planet Earth, regardless. Soon to be released on Brit Flag Games, Inc. I can't wait. Davina's out there. You cannot arrest people for waving a flag in the country they're in. Well, apparently you can in the UK. Blue Sharky 38 says, surely it can best the movie with the iPad tablet for a villain, right? Yeah, I think it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Now they're arguing about caged or uncaged, the Johnny Cage thing. And then Pam Epson says they're just arresting us for everything. That's right. You guys are not even allowed to say you love bacon, apparently, which is, odd. They don't want to upset all the illegal people that are there from, countries with strict religions and trying to force you into Sharia law via the government. That's pretty crazy. Look. Culture used the slang right. Did I? Yes. I'm telling you, the game's gonna slap.
We're still hip.
All right, 5,
We're
6,
still
7, 8.
with it, folks.
7-8? 7-8? Is it 7-8 or 6-7?
What was it again?
Just 6-7.
Oh, just 6-7.
Just 6-7. Is that because you're not allowed to use the 9? Anyway, Portal 3 before HL3. That's possible.
I'd be all over that because I'm a Portal fanboy, and one of the first songs I ever had on my iPhone 3 was Still Alive. So hey, I'm for it.
Hey, look, I mean, I used to carry around on my iPod Staying Alive, but that's a classic. Anyway, Mark Fields for $5.
We're still hip.
I'm still hip. Positive vibes to you all. What is your favorite side scroller?
Thank you, Mark.
Is that a side scroller? No. The original, no. I don't know. I have to think about that. Defender? Defender was a side scroller.
I'll chime in here. My favorite side scroller of all time is actually Yoshi's Island, Super Mario World 2. Is actually my favorite. If you consider it a Mario game, it's my favorite 2D one, but I think that game is pure brilliance. The crayon art style based off like how a child would draw up the world was brilliant. The music is an earworm. You got Yoshi, one of the most lovable characters ever. It's a very creative game too. There's a lot of things you don't expect, little Easter eggs, and I love about the game is you can play it casually from start to finish, and it's a challenging game too. But if you're trying to get all the red coins or all the flowers in the game, the game goes from being A to B to where it's like you're scouring such immersive maps that are like it's not just left to right. There's a lot of ups and downs and all arounds. It's a fun game, and I will vouch for that game till my dying breath on my deathbed. What about you, Kevin? We vouch for Yoshi's before you die?
Yeah, it had a great commercial too. Remember, he kept feeding the guy and then he blew up.
Oh no, that commercial was gross. What are you talking about, bro?
I remember it's like, no more. How about a bonus level? One more.
I liked the remake commercial they did for the Game Boy Advance where there's like a kid just sees a random guy in a Yoshi costume, he throws an egg and crushes the local car in like the New York Times street. Oh man, I need to get a clip of that. Kevin, what's your answer though?
I really don't know what I would pick. I don't know. Maybe Wizards and Warriors or Bonk's Adventure. I love Bonk.
Green Warriors shot the food. Anyway, so Chris Dickerson
Thank you, Marv.
Chris Dickerson for $5 in quarters says Borderlands was interesting with so many weapons. It got boring faster because it had so many weapons. Well, I think that, and I didn't like their control system. Movement was poor. It would oftentimes spin you in a different direction than what you were planning on. There's a lot of problems there. And yeah, you randomly would die for no good reason. So that's also a problem, but yeah.
Well, Chris, we definitely appreciate the super. I never played Borderlands back in the day, but I always heard great things about it. So I don't know. Let me know in the chat. Would you recommend it, despite how it also gets kind of boring at times? Like, we really appreciate you.
JPS drops in with another $2 in quarters, saying, "I did the paperclip thing."
It's Clippy as Shepherd. Oh, that's so good.
That's
oh my gosh,
amazing.
So good.
Clippy.
You're giving me a lot
Shepherd.
of really interesting ideas of like certain scenes in Mass Effect. You could change their heads to Clippy on, but I'll just keep those thoughts to myself.
You guys are popping. The Clippy thing is for real now. So, all right. Anyway, I think we got the chats that were out there. Pam says, you found the flags. Everybody's finding the flags. St. George's flags don't show up in the chat, not on phones, PCs, iPads. Comes up as blank squares. It's a tech thing, though. Been like that for ages. Yeah, at least you're not being, censored. And our friend Mark drops another $2 saying, does anybody have any favorite top view games?
Ooh, okay. Sorry, Culture. I gotta go first because I'm gonna have a dark horse here that no one's gonna expect because my age compared to y'all. Rally X, a new Rally X, actually. The Namco Bandai Classic. Oh my gosh, it has the most catchy song in the world. And for those who aren't familiar with it, you're playing as a blue car, and this red car is an evil, words I can't say on YouTube, and he's literally like a kamikaze. He's trying to ram his car into you and explode, and you have to use like dust trails, like spin him out. Like, the game is wild. It's on a lot of Namco collections. I give it a shot. What about you, Culture?
Atari's original 2600 classic tanks.
Ooh, that's a good game.
That separates the men from the boys. But Kevin, I know you're a man, and you'll have a very manly pick for your overhead top view game. What do you think?
Spy Hunter.
Spy Hunter.
I remember that.
Spy Hunter?
Yeah, it had that great soundtrack.
Take a car, it pops out, you drive, it shoots at other spies, and then you pull and get you upgraded. When I was a kid, I thought it was a Knight Rider game.
Wow. We have another super chat here, but it's in red. Culture, do you know what kind of currency this is?
Yes, that's Great British Pounds for $1.99 Great British Pounds. Pound, what is this? It's basically £2, and he sends us a super duper sticker. That's why it's in that color.
Oh, okay, got you. I was like, why is this red? Like, is it because of his username Zombie Box Reviews? I'm like, does he have the T virus? I'm like, what the heck? But no, thank you very much for the super sticker, Zombie. Always appreciate it. It helps support the channel and the arcade here, and maybe one day we can get a real TGP arcade going at some point. If that's the case, I'm inviting all of y'all, and we all play new Rally X, baby.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we got our chats. We probably have two more stars. What do we got, Nolan?
We'll see. We'll kind of go by time today, but I think it's about time we finally get into our headline story. Wouldn't you agree, Culture? Awesome. All right, let's do it. Let's begin this thing.
Boom.
The headline of the day, and oh boy, Nintendo, I want to report on you guys doing cool things. Do you see my hat? I'm wearing Nintendo stuff here. Please do good things, not bad things. Thank you. All right, this comes from the good folks over at GameSpot. Thank you, GameSpot. And the headline states, Switch 2 game key cards aren't eligible for Japan's preservation library. Yikes. This is coming over from Chris Compendio. So thank you very much, Chris, for getting this article going for us. One of the world's largest libraries will not consider Nintendo Switch 2 game key cards for preservation. Japan's National Diet Library, which contains over 9,600 video games in its archives, said that it won't recognize titles in the game keycard format because the game's data are not located within the physical media itself. Speaking to Famitsu via automation, representatives from the National Diet Library said that since a key card on its own does not qualify as content, it falls outside of the library's scope for collection and preservation. Well, this is interesting. Game key cards solely act as an authentication key, allowing the user to download a full game onto their console when inserted. The card must remain in the system in order to play the game, despite the game being installed, but the card can be shared or resold. Several third-party publishers utilize this medium for the Switch 2 releases, including Capcom, which considers its game key card titles as digital sales. Consumers, preservationists, and developers have raised concerns about the format, as ownership of this game is dependent on internet connection and whether Nintendo's eShop and servers are functional. Those concerns cite Nintendo's closure of the Wii U and 3DS eShops in March of 2023, which rendered it impossible to purchase titles from those storefronts through any official means. I don't even think this article needs to go as recent as that. You can go back to the Wii eShop way back in the day, because I know Nintendo closed those servers way sooner than they meant to, and definitely a lot of other digital services have now become lost media because they're no longer available for purchase. I know it's been a major challenge in the gaming industry, even trying to get preservation being taken more seriously. I think we're finally starting to see that within this past decade, but it's the problem of how great a lot of those original Atari and Nintendo ads were back in the 80s, because it sold itself so much as a token of the future that I don't think a lot of people took preservation as seriously as they thought, because they're like, hey, it's new technology, we're going to have it for a long time. And in reality, we didn't. Nintendo released a survey this month to its customers asking questions about their preferences for physical games. The article goes on to say, the National Diet Library, comparable to the United States Library of Congress, has been collecting physical video games since October of 2000. A National Library's collections, which include books, newspapers, music, maps, and other materials, comprise over 44 million items, making it the 8th biggest library in the world. It's worth noting that the National Diet Library also has an extensive collection of digital materials, including ebooks and magazines, but the institution does not include any digital or online-only games. All right. Kevin, I'm going to give you the first word on this. What's going on here? Give us your 2 cents here. Like, what's going on with Nintendo? Is the library right here? Like, what do you think's going on with this?
I think the library is 100% correct. And it's nice to see that we're not the only ones who are kind of rejecting this nonsense. I don't know, man. I feel like Nintendo's been lost since we lost Mr. Iwata and Reggie left. They just kind of seem to be twisting in the wind and making every terrible decision that their competitors have made over the last 10 years. They just seem to be intent on doing it all at once in a shorter amount of time. This push to make sure that you own nothing and like it's got to stop. People got to start pushing back. And this is a damning repudiation of the digital card system, because if it's not worthy of being archived, that means that there's a serious problem here, and people should take note. And I hope more and more people push back. I want to own my game if I pay for it. I don't want to have to be slave to an internet connection, and I don't have to be slave to a server that may disappear. It's not fair.
1,010% agree. Actually, so fun fact, behind the scenes here, I was actually, a few days ago, I was trying to pre-order a copy of the Pac-Man World 2 Repack remaster that's coming out here soon, the remake of the original classic on the GameCube and other systems, mind you. And I was about to buy the Switch 2 edition because I hadn't had like a physical Switch game or Switch 2 game yet. I'd only had the pack-in title of Mario Kart World, and I really wanted to finally own a case for a game. I realized that the only way you could get that as a physical thing for the Switch 2 was as a game key. There was no legitimate physical version going. So I'm at the point now where when the game comes out, I'm actually going to opt for the Switch 1 version of the game and take it on the inferior hardware, so to speak, because like I just feel more comfortable. I'll feel like more so that I actually own that game. I've had times before where I've had like, say, a day I need to unwind because I'm having a stressful day, and I go and I'm thinking about turning on the video game system, and I'm like, okay, I got to do this. I got to make sure this is connected. I got to make sure I have a Nintendo license thing to play some of the old games per month, you know. Do I remember my passwords? By that time, I'm like, it loses its immersion as a fantasy escape or a way to unwind. So I just plugged in, I'm going to sound old here, I just plugged into the N64 and played Mario 64 a bit with the 3-hand controller. Like, and that wasn't even a system that was really aimed at my era. I came a little after, but it's the reality is like a lot of things, like people do not like where it's going with this sort of thing. And I know especially in the East compared to the West, not to stereotype, but there's a lot of, about senses of pride, honor. Like people will stay around those companies a lot longer than a lot of people do in the West. And, their brand is very important to them, their legacy. Miyamoto's been with Nintendo for years. And for literally a preservation society as major as what they sound, if they're basically the Japanese equivalent to the Library of Congress, which is huge over here, then that must seem like a huge rejection. It's like being left on red by that hot chick you like. I don't think it's something they really want to see happen. Culture, give me your 2 cents on this. Like, what do you think this reaction on this is going to be, and what do you think?
Well, I agree with Kevin. The reaction is going to be interesting. What do I think of it? I think that we need to stop having controversies from Nintendo. That's what I think. I think that Nintendo's not doing themselves any favors, especially after the recent pricing debacle. Trying to punish people in the U.S. that want to consume their product because, there were going to be tariffs, they said. Not that they are paying tariffs, to be fair. All of this stuff is just frustrating, for lack of a better way to put it. And I think that if you buy a game, you own the game, and it should qualify for preservation if it was ever released. I think we're going to have to establish consumer laws that take the globalist asshats out of the equation. And Nintendo's probably one of the least in gamer friendly stuff, but everybody just loves their stuff so much they ignore it. I think that's to our detriment is our faith in the company and in the materials they make. I think that no matter what form it comes on, whether it's a card or a disc or whatever, and even if the data is not actually on the card, you actually own the thing.
Yep.
And until these companies come to realize that, or we make them realize that, we're doomed to have games disappear forever. I mean, what was the name of that race car game? The Crew? That thing just stopped, just went away. And I think we need and should have the right to preserve any of these games for eternity, because they should go to a library. What does a library do? A library preserves everything for eternity. And I think, like I said, I think we're going to have to bring some legislators together who understand what's being removed. And since I don't think there's a lot of lobbying done by Nintendo in the U.S. Congress, perhaps we could get something passed that would then spill down to everything else out there. And believe it or not, your Concord game should still work, and pretty much any other game you ever buy. Because if you're a company releasing something, you should have the obligation when you release it to provide access to it for all customers.
Hi, Moose.
I love that you mentioned Concord here because, like a lot of things, everyone here on the panel, has a lot of, different viewpoints, different opinions on a lot of different things, philosophy, games we play, what the viewers at home play. But the reality is, everybody wants to own the things that they own. And a lot of, talking points, usually when it's a hot button issue, gets labeled as this side of the political aisle problem, this side of the political aisle problem. It's one of those where this is a problem for everybody. And if you were a fan of Concord, which had some questionable decisions to a lot of gamers, I know a lot of people did not like decisions made, and I never picked up the game. I wasn't interested into it till I thought it might be valuable or a rare collector's edition. But this impacts everything here. Could you imagine what's going to be like for historians, however long from now, to where it's like, well, we need to document this. Well, the archives just aren't there. In the past, it was, there was a big fire that burned down the library and we're missing an important piece of history. No, it's a lot of stuff where it's just, companies choose to make it to where it's not easily accessible. And when your point about the library, I think that's great, because there's one thing I know about libraries is they're supposed to be a gateway to knowledge into a former world that can hopefully you can learn. Knowledge is extremely, extremely important. There's going to be a lot of viewpoints, winners write history, but knowledge is going to give you the gateway to hopefully have an intelligent society that's going to be able to make a better life for everybody, including these games that we love. And I really think that I hope there's some movements that happen here that can really preserve our games. Kevin, I'm going to give you the final word here about that. What would you like to say to wrap up this whole thing on the preservation of games and why things hopefully will change on the horizon here?
Yeah, we know we're fans. History matters. The preservation of these of this technology, of these stories, of these IPs, they matter. And like we said before, if I pay money for it, if I invest in it, I want to own it. And a company should not have the ability to take something away without my permission, let alone make changes to it without my permission. So I'm glad to see that there's some pushback that isn't just from gamers. I hope the gamers continue the trend and keep speaking out and make sure that they're being heard. Being very proud of our brothers and sisters over in Japan for making a big stink about the key cards. And I hope that we see the West kind of follow suit. And you're right, this is not a left-right thing. This is an everybody problem. Like, even if I entertainment can be subjective, right? So I'm sure there's someone out there who really liked Concord. They should have had the ability to continue to keep playing their game without having lost it because someone decided to abandon ship and didn't want to be accountable for their bad decisions. So hopefully this trend continues. I'm sure we're going to hear more about this, and I want Nintendo to kind of wake up and go back to being the Nintendo that we love. I don't like this new Nintendo. I don't like new Coke Nintendo.
No, like I agree, Kevin. Like, culture. You remember a time when it felt like Nintendo was doing everything different from the competition? Whereas now it just feels like slowly, surely, it's ugly looking, but it just feels like they're morphing into what we expect to see out of PlayStation and Xbox. And that's just not the Nintendo I remember. They evolved over the years, obviously. 80s Nintendo is clearly different from 90s Nintendo. But at the same time, that core philosophy of being, the outsider, the black sheep, I just feel like they're just kind of taking the same trends, like, and going from that poison well, so to speak. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right. I think they're definitely drinking the Kool-Aid at a Jim's Jones event. I think that, and some of you younger folks won't get that one, but don't drink the Kool-Aid, kids. But the Nintendo's been going down the wrong road for a while, and I think, I've been calling it out because I'm like, this is a bad look for Nintendo, and I've been saying that more frequently than anything, and that was after looking forward to the Switch 2. But once the pricing came out, and then once they said, well, we're going to raise the price, we're not releasing it when we said we would, but we're going to jack the price up, enjoy. That's a big problem. Canceling people's pre-orders, all the kinds of things, bricking some people's units because, it thinks it misread a card or something. They've been on the wrong side of everything for a while now. And, I think Kevin may have had an idea as to why you lost some key people that would really make things work out. But, and Davina's right in the chat. I mean, you need preservation over almost anything else. And you need people that understand that this is a consumer business. And if you piss off the hundreds of millions of fans that you have, you're going to have an even bigger problem, to be fair. So I don't know how many more oopses Nintendo can afford. I don't think very many, because I think people are really feeling like they're overpaying for everything and they're getting screwed. So
very well said. Very well said. And you know what? Like, Nintendo has kept one trend, I'd say, from their past is I don't know what to predict about them anymore. And unfortunately, this is the first time ever where I really think that's to their detriment. But you know what? Yeah. Maybe this could be a wake-up call. I truly hope. So, hey, if they have like a response to this, or if we might see enough backlash to see a shift away from these basically physical licenses to buy a game in the form of these game key cards, I really hope like we'll see that shift. And if there is, we'll definitely be there to cover it here on That Game Place. Culture, we got comments, baby.
We do. We have quite a few of them. Everybody is here. Everybody's speaking their mind. We've got Kamchi for $5 saying, well, heard about that and deeply concerning, as I still don't want to buy a Switch 2 and play Switch less now, since anti-consumer level is ridiculously high. Blame Doug. Yeah, indeed. Indeed. Look, Mark came in with another $5 saying they have a fun challenge. Play Mario 64. Oh, this is for us. With an eye patch over your strongest eye, and let the hilarity begin. Oh, dude, I would hardcore fail that.
If you ever want a fun Mario 64 challenge, I really recommend looking up the 1-Up challenge videos on YouTube. Like, basically, get the 1-Up in Mario 64 where it activates. It's going to follow you to, like, it does this cute little animation where it comes around to Mario and it floats into him, and then it makes the chime sound. Except this, you try to run away from the 1-Up who's chasing you like a drone chasing the superhero, and you're running away in pure terror. The game goes from a fun little happy platformer to a horror game real fast. Like, it is insane. But no, thank you. And
and then we don't mind culture.
I'll take a swipe here real quick because I feel bad. I didn't rack the Kamchi. Hey, thank you for the super. And as what you say about the Switch 2, as an owner of one, it's one of the weirdest times ever as a Nintendo fan and a diehard. Yeah. I'll tell you that definitely. But Culture, if you'd like to take back the super chat there.
I will. And we have one last that we missed or I didn't catch. Blue Sharky had said, some of my favorite games are Kingdom Hearts, Skylanders, Trap Team, and Super Robot Wars. Understood, my friend. Indeed.
So I have about 2 more stories left. Culture, do you have enough time for 2?
Of course.
Awesome.
Let's do
Perfect.
It. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. All right, let me go ahead and get the second one up on screen here.
Oh, and as a side note, just so everybody knows, according to Pam, and I believe her, Mexican Iron Man went to Cracker Barrel today. Definitely took Tom with him. So there you go.
Oh, man, to be at that table, that sounds like a good time. Yeah, all right, but you know what's also a good time? Our next story. Kevin, are you ready for this thing?
Aye.
All right, Captain, let's roll. Okay. All right, this is coming from The Gamer, from the wonderful Joshua Robertson. So thank you, Joshua. The article states, Dragon Age lead says Veilguard might have done better if it was shut down. This article was actually brought to my attention by our wonderful panelist, Kevin Apollo. So thank you very much, Kevin, here.
Wow.
It states, Dragon Age The Veilguard's extremely rough development timeline is well established at this point, thanks to the insight from people that worked on the series. We know that big decisions were made at the last minute. The Mass Effect developers were brought on to try to help, but failed. And even the game's own developers have admitted the whole thing was an impossible situation. Dang! How new is it? Kevin, when did this game come out? Do you remember?
Last November.
Oh my gosh, less than a year, and they're already saying that it went over that bad. Wow. Okay. So
they're giving away for free right now.
Where at? Like Steam?
I think Steam and on Xbox they were giving away for free.
Oh my gosh.
Bad this game did.
Wow. Now, Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong here. You also played this game, right? You were a big Dragon Age guy.
I was a big Dragon Age guy. Yeah. Yeah, I played it for a little bit and then just stopped. Just stopped.
Oh man,
My heart can only break but so much.
You can only look, you know, it's like seeing your child grow up to be like a crazy person, you know. It's like you can only watch her so long before you just break into tears. Like I think that's what's going on with Dragon Age.
I was Gandalf against the Balrog with people attacking Dragon Age 2. So to walk away from this.
Oh my goodness. Well, the article goes on to also say, we can all sit here and wonder exactly what BioWare could have done to make Dragon Age the Veilguard a success, but former lead Mark Dura reckons a return to the drawing board would have made the biggest difference. Before we continue, Culture, did you ever play any of the Dragon Age games back in the day?
Yeah, but I wasn't going to play this one because I and Kevin had been, you know, talking back and forth here on that gameplays about November, about how, well, even before November, we were talking about how bad this is going to be, how tainted it was with messaging, and what the sales were going to be absolutely horrific. All of those things came true. In the fact that we're doing a moratorium on this, right? You know, it should tell you a lot because we're not even at a full year, as you kind of noted, and this is where we are. And again, Davina's calling it Failguard. A lot of people who are huge fans of this franchise, and that would include this knucklehead down here, and that Marvin Montanaro fella, you know, the big orange news monster or movie monster or wrestling. I don't know. Is he wrestling? He's some kind of monster. Anyway,
everything.
Yeah, he was writing about this. He couldn't believe it. It's his favorite franchise, and he's getting smashed. You know, just absolutely wrecked. And before we move on, we had a new person join us here that I didn't get a chance to click on that decided to join us for the first time. If Ash Ran Disney is out there. So good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to do our best to give you all the best gaming news, best opinions, and the coolest we can. So like I always say, we really appreciate your support here, everybody.
Indeed.
But let's go ahead and try to find out what's exactly going on here. So Dura made this comment in a recent interview with YouTuber Mr. Matty Plays, thanks PC Gamer, during which he says that Dragon Age the Veilguard suffered because it essentially 4 games stitched together. He then goes on to make the rather dramatic statement that the only thing that would have made a massive difference to the Veilguard's fortunes was to, and I quote, shut the project down completely when I moved to Anthem. Wow. Okay. Thanks to Dara being given the role of executive producer on Anthem, 2 years after Dragon Age the Veilguard entered development, it meant that BioWare was trending unfamiliar waters with less guidance. As the Veilguard initially started out development as a live service title, Dara reckons that scrapping their current project and starting in would have been more beneficial to the title as a whole. Kevin, first reaction. Give me your take.
First of all, just the stupid EA and then their incessant and insatiable greed. Let's make it a live service so we can microtransaction them to death. Want to fight a dragon? Give us $5. And then he's being very generous. You know, they survived the microtransaction debacle, and the Dreadwolf trailer was celebrated, and then all of a sudden it got quiet, and we got what we got. Especially when we saw a name of he who shall not be named. I'm going to treat that person like Voldemort. I won't say their name. Destroyer of the Sims, Wrecker of the Dragon Age.
Don't get me started on the amount of series that EA has killed over the years. I have still not forgiven them for what they did to Star Wars Battlefront. Like that second game, all the controversies, and I'm very cool. I think it's very cool to see that Battlefront 2 has had a strange second life now that it's more affordable and all the content's actually in, you know, kind of like how games used to be 20-something years ago. And I'm not here to be on a rocking chair like an old man, but if there's one thing I know for sure, money isn't as easy to get right now, and they're price gouging people without an artistic vision that is up to the standards of audiences of all ages. A lot of the stuff you see in these interviews, in my opinion, are excuses. There was things that they could have done. They could have done some things differently in development to save some costs here, instead focus more on artistic needs. They already knew at EA there was going to be budget going to, promotion for your Star Wars Battlefronts or your Dragon Ages, but they decided to go all in on something that seemed like it was doomed from the start. And if I continue on the article here, Dara also notes that this idea would have been extremely risky too, as EA could have simply decided that it didn't want to go back to Dragon Age, and the series would have been killed off then and there. He says it should have been a risk worth taking though, and that any game that was made after would not be carrying the baggage of the game's live service origins. Unfortunately, Dara's idea to shut down the game and start fresh would have relied on EA giving the series the support it needed. And from past comments from him and other Dragon Age alumni, it sounds as if though there was very little chance of that happening. All right, Culture, do you think that could have saved the series? Just shut the whole thing down, start fresh? Because sometimes if you want to make something good, you gotta wreck the structure and just start over again to make something more beautiful.
Well, if the story was bad, which it was, then you needed to change the story. If the dialogue was bad, which it was, you needed to change the dialogue. So as Davina is correct in the fact that EA sucks, they're not known for doing the right thing, are they? And with that response, would they have done that? Could they have done that? I think they could have done it. I just don't think they would have. And what I think is they also are listening to the wrong people. They brought in the wrong people to advise on the game, to be a part of the game, to be on the game team. And that was their first mistake. So you need to start with a good team. And you need qualified creative people writing quality stories. You need to leave the messaging at the door because people who are looking for an escape don't want it. And if you're that deep in where you're going to release this, it was prepared to be gold, to go gold, a term we used to use in the old days kids. But I the only thing they could have done is just kill the game, start fresh on a clean white piece of paper.
Isn't it incredible that EA went from being the company that was like, it's in the game, because they were so thoughtful about what fans wanted their experience, to this abomination that we have to deal with. And at the end of the day, listen, we get it. After destroying The Sims, which kind of just feeds itself, they didn't want to spend money on a development team. So they threw over as few shekels as possible for someone who was anxious to go spread the message, and thought that people would just gobble this game up because it was a Game of the Year winner and ate up every award that possible, and people were still playing it a few years later. And they just, well, again, it's the same problem. These companies keep treating their customers like they're mindless consumers. Customers have will, they have discerning taste, they have demands and quality, and consumers just consume. They do what they're told and they walk out the door. And customers are not like that. They don't want customer service. They just want you to spend money and like it. And they're really struggling with remembering that. I don't know when exactly they forgot it. And how many times we have to go back and SpongeBob meme it. How many times we have to teach you this lesson, old man, before they decide to get it. But this was completely and totally avoidable. And they did everything in their power to redefine epic fail. 6 months later, this game is for free and you can't give it away. Oh,
absolutely. This is one of gaming's biggest disasters as far as, a big time release, in my opinion. I don't think we got to the point of, burying the games in the desert. But the reality is, I don't care what your taste in games are. I don't care about how you vote. I don't care about that. You are a customer who has a brain. And the consumer knows better that they don't have to take the schlock. They can do other things. There are times where a game of checkers looks way more entertaining than this subpar material they're putting out there, because the reality is we live in a day and age with the internet. Even if you are really young, it's easy to just look up a review. Oh, hey, Scott the Waz does a video on the old Dragon Age games, or Asmongold, whatever YouTuber you like to watch, and you can get up to speed in an hour on what to expect out of a game, and you know that you can get better. And I think that's something that these companies need to learn, is like, the gamers anticipate, a certain standard. We don't need every game to be Ocarina of Time, or it's being game of the year, whatever have you. But we know that gaming should be an artistic vision, and we had it good for a very long time. And gamers want to go back to that. And I think their profits are going to reflect that until they change, because at the end of the day, gaming is an escape. It's not mandatory for survival. And if that happens, well, they'll make their own games, and they'll make better games. And you know what? When they do come around with those games, we'll be sure to cover it here on That Gameplay. So EA, hope you pivot. All right, we got one more story here before we get to that culture. You want to bring up some wonderful chats in the audience?
I sure can. Apparently, everybody's favorite hobby is trolling me. So I love culture, but I can't resist trolling him a little on Comics Division's channel. I try to be nice everywhere else, and I say thank you, Argentum. And you know what? I don't mind at all. The fact that you're here sharing this time with us, I don't mind a little trolling. That's why ZBR, who's one of my favorite people on the planet, is constantly picking at me. So at least I'm not comics playing Failguard. So it could be worse.
Kevin, is that a kitty I see?
This is Moose.
That's Moose.
My gosh.
Oh, he's got an enormous head.
He's so cute. I was trying to start up a That Cat place, but they wouldn't let me.
I was going to say you brought in it's a wild animal. It's enormous. What is that? It's a panther. You got a panther on your lap. Anyway, that's not a cat. That's a predator.
Little saber teeth.
I didn't even think about how ginormous like Kevin is. How he towers me like I'm a little 4-leaf clover next to a towering giant. Oh my gosh, that cat would probably kill me if I walk in the same room. Dang,
it's a big cat. It's a big cat. Punkwaddle's here. Say hi to the penguin.
Punkwaddle, hey man.
And there's ZBR, and everybody's going kitty. Okay, it's true. It's a cat. And Argentum's like, I immediately love Moose. Okay. The cat is the hit of the show so far.
Oh my gosh.
Kevin got a new cat, says Uan Kumi. I don't know if it's new, but I know it's there. I don't think that cat dares venture into the room of sound ideas that you're normally in. So, with
oh my goodness,
the world-class human being poster behind you. But look, we can all talk junk about games that have failed recently, and the bad ideas that launched them. The question is, did anybody learn anything, or was it just us? I gotta ask that. Wait a minute, Blue Sharky is a bigger cat, Mr. Talks. That's
Mr. Talk. It's a great name.
That is a good name. Yeah. But
y'all in the audience, tag me with photos of your cats. I demand to see them.
that would be awesome. So, but anyway,
we'll do a cat segment one day on the show. Not today, but we'll do it one day.
We'll have a cat off. There we go.
Cat off. Oh my gosh. But you know what? I think we still have one more story to cover. And you know what? That last story kind of made me upset. Like, just, the incompetence of some of these, companies, whether they mean to or not. Like, I'm hoping the industry really pivots. But I will say, I needed to bring a palate cleanser to make everyone's day better.
Well, before we get the palate cleanser, I want to say this. If it's okay.
Okay, go for it, brother.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
We were kind of scoffing the fact that they came around so quickly inside of a year. Well before the end of a year's time, before the game launched and promptly failed. The fact that they're coming to this reasoning now is surprising. And maybe it's telling. Perhaps the industry is going to pivot away from activism and messaging and go back to entertainment and escapism. And I think that this kind of discussion might be a good sign, a good thing. Could be wrong. Anyway, sorry about that.
I mean, no, you're good. You're good. I want people to share their thoughts and stuff like that, because that stuff's important, because people giving their feedback for decades and decades now, it leads to better games and better quality and better expectations. So how else are we to make art if not to learn and make something even better? But I think I'm ready for the last story. Are you, Culture?
Yes, sir. You want me to push the button?
All right. Let's do it. Okay, so that last story was a bit of a downer, but you know what? I have the key. I have the formula of the thing that's going to make everybody's day better. You know, there might be someone listening in at home right now, you know, listening to us in the car, you know, driving safely, paying attention to the road, and he's like, you know, I'm having a bad day, cut off in traffic, Walmart was being Walmart, enough said. They need a little bit of Cammy in their life to cheer up their day. And don't worry, we're here to do it for you, everybody. All right, this comes from comicbook.com for giving us the real stories we need right now. Jada Toys Cammy Ultra Street Fighter 2 Player 2 figure is an exclusive. The new figure from Jada is based off Cammy's Player 2 design with bright colors and loads of details. This is by Becca Down. Well, thank you, Miss Becca. A new Jada Toys figure launched today in the Ultra Street Fighter 2 series and is an exclusive. Specifically, a Player 2 variation of Cammy is available to pre-order now, exclusively at Entertainment Earth, priced at $32.99. Wow, that's actually pretty cheap for a figure. I'm used to Godzilla figures being like $200. Okay, with a release date set for November, in addition to the alternate pink and gray color scheme. The figure is highly articulated and includes alternate hands and alternate heads and effect parts. For this exclusive, you can head to Entertainment Earth here to pre-order. The figure price at $32.99. The Player 1 version is also available on back order. Read for more info and figure gallery images. And I'll go ahead and bring up some of the images. Oh, perfect. I wanted to share here. Kevin, would you play Cammy at all back in the day in the Street Fighter days? Who was your main for Street Fighter 2?
I'm sure every red-blooded 13-year-old male played as Cammy a couple of times back then. I don't know. I was more of a the big fireball Hadouken Ryu guy. But yeah, sure, of course. Who didn't want to do a hit a Hurricane Rana in the middle of your game? You know, especially when you were first learning how to play the game and Vega was a problem. It was either going to be Chun-Li or it was going to be Cammy who was going to beat him. You know, so but
he could whip out a Zangief on a Vega.
Yeah, well, I got a little bit. You know, as I grew in skill, I decided to experiment with other characters, and I wanted to see everybody's ending. So just spin around, and, it's fun.
I will never forget the Street Fighter 2 one for Cammy, or not Cammy, Chun-Li, where it's like, all right. It shows her with a gravestone. It's like, now that I have finally avenged my family. Literally the next scene, super fan servicey with her in like a crop top. Now I can go be a young single girl. Like, what? I'm sorry, what? You avenged the family in that culture. Did you play some Cammy back in the day?
Dude, I'm American. Yes, I played some Cammy. Yeah, I played Guile. I love me some Zangief, right? Especially at when we got towards the end of the Cold War. But I have to tell you though, I just I had to drive for miles to one of the biggest arcades on the planet to play, the game, because every other place that had the game was so packed, nobody could let you get to the game. You had to get there right after school. So, but there's a legendary arcade location that I don't think is there anymore, because I think they tore out the entire multi-business complex area to replace it with some apartments recently. But it's just, Cammy was amazing. In fact, from Street Fighter 2 onward, especially to Alpha 6, I was like, the characters get better and better. The moves, you can refine. They were one of the first games to use the different style of joystick so that you had even better control. You only had to replace the buttons once a day on the machine, because players would break the hell out of those buttons to land their moves. And then I love the game, man. I played Cammy plenty. And I remember a lot of the great scenes, cut scenes throughout. But I'll just tell people, these things deserved a long time ago to be represented in film and television, and they never quite got exactly what they needed. And I blame Jean-Claude Van Damme. So there you go.
I was very happy to see Kylie Minogue going for her back in the day. I thought she was a pretty actress who fit this bill, but I know there's been a lot of buzz, at the time of this recording that who's going to be playing Cammy in the film. And I think people are pretty happy with the Chung Lee casting. I know people from the wrestling scene are doing Street Fighter. Oh, go ahead, Culture.
I was going to say, can't you still use Kylie Minogue? She still looks the same. We're talking about
she's like Weird Al. She never ages.
She never ages. Yeah, she always looks the same. Yeah.
If I can, but yeah, no, it's part of it, people really identify with these characters for a lot of different reasons. Male, female, whatever have you. And I think part of what people love about gaming is celebrating these fictional worlds and characters getting to portray themselves in these scenarios. And I find right to the figure itself, the fact that it's so well captures, the essence of her and stuff like that. People want to be able to see these toys, not just for something to put on the shelf and collect dust. They want to be able to escape into a bit of imagination. And I think that can do a lot of favors there. And it's thanks to the iconicness of it. And I got to give props to the people behind this figure that I think it's going to do a lot of good for the people who want it. And I really hope that we're finally starting to see, because I know Cammy herself as a character got a lot of recognition for being in the new Street Fighter game and being more true to how people remember her. And I know it's inspiring a lot of, cosplays, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds for this series. Kevin, I'm going to give you the last word here. Actually, no, I got a question for both you gentlemen. Is your wife going to let you buy this game or buy this toy?
Okay, you used a really weird word to me. Let.
Yeah, seriously.
That's a weird word, dude.
Will she allow?
Also a strange word to me. You're speaking a foreign language. What are you saying? I am an adult male. I can buy whatever toy I want.
Yes, honey. Oh my goodness. But jokes aside, about she's pretty, and I do stand by what I say though. It's Cammy's captured the hearts of a lot of fans of Street Fighter, and there's a reason this whole franchise as a whole is being celebrated. And I really hope that by the time we get to whatever's next for the future of this series, film, whatever have you, we're gonna try and true get what's gonna connect to the hearts of so many people. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the future has. And if we have any more big Cammy news coming, which I'm sure we will, given her popularity, especially the past few years, we'll be sure to cover it here on That Game Plays.
One last note about Cammy. You brought it up. Sydney Sweeney should be the next Cammy.
Oh my culture, don't give me hope. Don't give me hope. Don't give me hope
right now. Don't give me hope.
Oh my goodness.
No,
my. I'm dazed right now. Culture, I need you to bring up comments because I'm lost in my a single male mind of Sydney Sweeney is Cammy. We need to change topics quick.
Yeah. Hey, what's the name of the character in Street Fighter 2 that had the really Dalsim? Yeah. Dude.
Yoga.
Yeah, dude, it was great. Yeah. Look, I need to learn that kind of yoga because that comes in handy. You know what? That was the very first Shang-Chi, because he had shitloads of bracelets. Oh, you can't say the word. It had poop loads of bracelets. Oh no! Somebody edit that. I did not say that.
Someone add the one-up sound whenever he does, or shield clank or something like that, or a hi.
He had a lot of bracelets. I can't believe I said that.
Oh man. Oh my goodness. Let's
in this water?
Let's get some final words from our wonderful chat who's been supporting the arcade. Keep it alive. Other arcades closed. Nah, we're immortal until we're in that retirement home, and we'll still be doing it. We'll be talking to I'll be flirting with the grannies at that point and talking about Cammy. We will keep TGP going as long as we humanly can. Culture, let's hear on these comments.
You betcha. Donovan Bradford showed up towards the end. Great to see you. Davina is still weighing in. And Zombie Box Reviews thinks Kylie Minogue is a vampire. Well, I'll tell you, the world is a vampire. Meant to drain. Ewan says, Lorne would like that. I think Lorne would like Cammy. I think a lot of people would. And so would our friend Andy Masterson, who makes action figures. I have an action figure, courtesy of Batman himself. Let's see. Oh, by the way, you can buy a me action figure. Do you guys want a me action figure?
Yeah, there's a Culture action figure?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there's a Culture Casino Beach Punk action figure, which you can actually get with the beach cart where I'm selling my beach stuff to the beach goers. It looks very much like me. Yeah, very, very handsome me. You can buy it.
We're going to plug the web page for that at the end of the show instead. That's the only thing we need to plug.
That's right. That's right. I will definitely do that. And by the way, we also had Juliet out there. Just want to say thank you. I know it's morning for you. Thank you for being here. And to those of you in the UK, believe us, our hearts are with you. We would be there with you. If there turns out to be some kind of confrontation, I think you'll see a lot of Americans. I'm just saying, because we feel what you're going through. So, truly.
And we're wishing the safety of everyone, you know.
Yeah.
So there's been some challenging times that a lot of people have been going through the past few years. But I know it's very easy to get down and, depressed about everything going on with gaming, movies, whatever have you. But if there's one thing we can learn for history, at least as far as American history goes, after some really rough times, some really good times have come around since then. It's just learn from the history books, and just brace yourself because we might be on the verge of some really good stuff here in the future. And hopefully it means that we might be able to connect a lot more with each other in society. So, hey, I hope there's some optimism there.
Yep, me too. But I want to say this, Kevin, thanks for being here and for showing us your cat. See, I refrained from the other words I could have said. But anyway, and
I wanted to make the joke when Nolan said some of your cat pictures.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. You know how much I had to refrain when I saw Kevin's cat in the next story topic matter about Street Fighter? I'm like, okay, I won't do it. I think Jonas would fire me in a heartbeat. So anyways, Kevin, where can the good people find you on this wonderful internet? I hear you have the coolest night show this side of the planet.
Yeah, late nights with Lauren and Apollo every Tuesday and Friday evening at 11 p.m. Not 11 a.m. 11 p.m. Sorry. And then eventually the House of Apollo will film its first two videos. The first one's gonna feature, I believe, Culture and Lou Wasserman's Ghost. We're gonna explore the rise and fall of first run syndication now that we got the sad announcement that all the major networks will no longer be carrying syndicated content. And then the second video, because we'll be close to spooky season, will be the trying to make sense out of the Halloween timeline. So I think Trish will be there and whoever else wants to jump on. But so lots of cool stuff coming up. So follow me on the Twitters and the Instagrams.
Which version of Halloween 6 are you using? Are you using the stone where he loses to the stones, or not the one where he loses to the stones?
I don't know. I guess we'll talk about it. You being that you brought that up, do you want to jump in? You should come along for the ride.
I haven't seen them all, though. I don't know if I'm qualified, but I can bring good memes. I give you good Spirit Halloween memes.
we're not talking about the awful Rob Zombie ones, and just know that he's it was supposed to be a one-time occurrence. Then there was a movie about witches, and then he showed back up, and then there was a cult, and then Busta Rhymes showed up, and then we got to where we got.
Oh my goodness. Well, I might have to take you up on that offer because I love Halloween. And you know what? Halloween fans also deserve better after Halloween ends. But Culture, if they want better, I think they can check out the 6 Minute Daily. And you recorded like 1 million videos. Tell us about some of this content you have coming.
Oh, yeah. So far for the week, I've recorded 9 videos. I have 5 more to record and edit. That's going to be the bulk of the calendar. I'm probably going to see if I can get Kevin to be available at some point because he and I record videos wonderfully well. And Yeah, and then I've got the 6-Minute Daily, which is Monday through Friday at the same time, usually in front of either Midnight's Edge in the morning or that Park Place Live, which is Morning Magic. And on Saturdays, like today, I do a Saturday update, and that's usually an hour to 2 hours. And today I did the High Roller stream with all my High Roller members, and next Saturday I do the all the members stream, so that'll be fun. So there's that. So I can talk for a long time. You need to stop me or I'll continue. We need to get out of here.
All right, I'll ramble real quick before we go. For those who don't know, I have a new video out on my Nolan Thunder YouTube channel. It's thank you. You guys are all great. Oh my gosh. Amazing people. I have a documentary out on Super Mario 64, but it's not your usual documentary about, hey, the game's development stuff. This is about a legend about how the game was built with an experimental artificial intelligence. Yeah, in the 1990s, that Nintendo 64 AI might have been in the development stages. And apparently the early build was so unstable that it caused things such as bleeding gums and stroke-like systems and even seizures to the players. It's a crazy story, and I present it all with, an 80s synthesizer type soundtrack by the wonderful Queer Kaiju. I got some amazing voice work from the very own right here, Kevin Apollo. He brought in his vocal talents for this thing. And it's a mix of like those ancient alien shows you see on History Channel. It's a mix of B-movie horror, comedy, and documentary. So if that type of thing floats your boat, please check it out. There's a lot of practical effects with it because I like to capture, the images of days of old, because people always like, hey, I want to see that again. Well, I try to supply it here, so it's up to you if you like the video. If you like it, give it a like. If not, leave it a dislike. Tell them how you feel. Tell me I need to get better. Culture, any closing thoughts before we wrap up this show? I think people got a good weekend ahead of them.
I do too. And I think they also have a very pleasant week ahead of them as well. Although almost every piece of news I report probably going to be bad because, well, it's the way of the world. And I just
why do bad when you can do rad news, Culture? Rad.
Okay, hang on.
Oh, watch out. Watch out, everybody. Yo.
Now I got my RK Outpost hat on. We're good.
Nice,
I promise you everything will be bad. Okay, let's get out of here.
Let's stop before we start up a hip-hop group and start looking like we're Vanilla Ice and Cool as Ice. So, anyways, thank you everybody for joining. We love all of you guys. We'll see you back here again next week on That Gameplays. But until next time, as we always like to say around here, get your game on!